Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Macaulay, and I'm here today to discuss the current trends in my discipline, which is family law, in particular, trends in divorce. The vast majority of family law proceedings come from the termination of a marriage or romantic relationship. The termination of marriage, or divorce as it's commonly known, is a concept that most people around the world are familiar with. This is because in America there is approximately one divorce every 36 seconds. That makes it around 2,400 a day, 16,800 a week, and a whopping 876,000 divorces a year. The termination of a romantic relationship is something that people less commonly associate with family law. However, according to analyst Stephen Swinford, roughly 47% of all children in the United States will be born out of wedlock. When this occurs, the termination of a romantic relationship turns legal. This will be further discussed later on. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what family lawyers do, according to HG or Legal Resources, family lawyers help their clients file for separation and divorce, alimony, and child custody, visitation, and support. Within this field, there are two major terms that have come to light in the past decade. As according to renowned family attorney Carlos de Aguirre, families have changed, the ideas about families have changed, and the laws concerning families have changed too. The first major trend in family law is the debate about whether family lawyers should act as a therapist or mediator when children are involved in a divorce case. Psychologist Edward Krug states that what children of divorce most want and need is to maintain healthy and strong relationships with both of their parents, and to be shielded from their parents' conflict. Some parents, however, in an effort to bolster their parental identity, create an expectation that children should choose sides. When this happens, it is called parental alienation syndrome, something that can have severe psychological consequences on the child. This short video I'm going to show you is by psychologist Dr. Coleman, who explains how parents should go about handling this syndrome without further affecting their children.
So a lot of the parents that I work with come to me because they've been cut off by an adult child or a teenager after a divorce, and they want to know, what do I say? And the first thing that you have to do is really to try to make it safe for your child to talk to you. If it's the case of a divorce, in the case of parental alienation syndrome, where your ex is actually poisoning your child against you, it's important that you not do anything to reinforce that. So you don't want to talk about your ex in any kind of a negative way. You want to talk to them in as affectionate a way as possible, even though you may have to fake it. You want to remember that their love for their mother or their father, your ex, is part of the ways that they love themselves. So if you're poisoning them about their mother or their father, you're poisoning them about themselves. This is crucial to remember. So many parents feel like they're going to get back at their exes by getting mad at the kid through the ex, and you're just hurting your child. Not only are you hurting your child, you're hurting your relationship with your child. You're ruining your credibility with that child by making them feel like you care more about yourself than you do about them. They need to love that parent no matter how terribly that parent has behaved. So that's the case of parental alienation syndrome. You want to be affectionate, interested, empathic, hear the complaints. If the kid says, well, why didn't you ever pay child support? Or why were you always so mean to dad? If there's a kernel of truth in it, you want to speak to the kernel of truth. If there's not a kernel of truth in it, you might want to say, well, your mom and I see that very differently. So, I think it's something that's between the two of us. But what was that like for you when she said that? What was that like for you when dad said that about me? Again, make the empathy about them, not about you. That's your biggest tool in the tool chest.
Most family lawyers believe that the children's welfare should come last in a divorce, as it is their job to follow the law and a mediator's to act as a therapist. Currently, the most common way to make sure the child is looked after and parental alienation does not occur, a mediator is hired. However, not everyone can afford them. Psychologist Ugo Ushi states that an attitude often gets in the way of making a healthy decision regarding what's best for the child or children involved, because it makes everyone else uncomfortable and it slows down the process of disruptions. The reason that alienation of parents has become a recent trend in divorce is that approximately 50% of children will see their parents get divorced, and 43% of children growing up in America today are being raised without their fathers. As this is the case, family attorneys are starting to ask the question if people are often unable to afford a mediator, and mediators help lower parental alienation, why can't it be the lawyer's job to do both? The second trend is that there is an increase in children being brought out of wedlock and how that affects marriage and separation. Sociologically speaking, there is a decline in marriage as millennials are finding it less necessary to get married. Now, the reason that the marriage rate is decreasing will be shown in the following video.
New research shows more young adults are putting off or abandoning the idea of getting hitched.
By one estimate, the current marriage rate is at its lowest point in a century, and it's dropping. Millennials are set this year to become the largest part of our population. Bryce Covert is an economic policy editor at Think Progress. Bryce, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, why are so many millennials deciding not to marry?
I think there's a combination of factors. One is just a big social shift. You know, millennials we know are less religious, and I think the country as a whole has really changed the way we view people who live together outside of marriage, who decide to date, to cohabitate, and sort of live independently. But there also are big economic factors here. You know, the millennial generation has graduated into a really tough economy. For them, it really hasn't recovered. Their wages are still really depressed. They've got a lot of student debt, college degrees they may not be able to use.
Wouldn't that make them more likely to want to marry then?
I think actually in this country we've really changed from thinking of marriage as something you do to become financially stable and something you want to do after you're already financially stable. It costs a lot of money to get married if you want to do a big event. And I also think people are wary of joining finances these days before they're really ready to feel stable together.
Are they having children later or having fewer children?
Yeah, we know that that millennials are delaying child rearing along with marriage. So it's very possible that, you know, they're cohabitating or dating and saying, if we're going to have kids, maybe we'll get married then. So maybe they'll get married later when they decide that they're ready for children, but that might take a little while.
Is it across the country?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I think we're thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Does geography play a role? Because it seems like so
Yeah.
many people are migrating to big cities, and in big cities, people think, I'll delay having kids. That's something that you hear, especially in a city like New York.
Yeah, New York is definitely a place where we know that there's a lot less likelihood that a millennial is going to get married compared to somewhere else like Denver, say. Geography plays a huge role in not only in different marriage rates, but there's actually research showing that if I were to move from New York to Denver, I'd be less likely to get married. So it's actually changing how I view it. And I think that really goes to show how much social norms play such a huge role in what you decide to do.
Bryce Covert, thank you for being here.
Thanks so much.
How old were you when you were first married? Like 25?
26.
26. I was 27, and you
Yeah,
were
27.
27. All right.
As you can see from the video, people in today's society are finding marriage less appealing and rather cohabit. The problem with cohabiting is that it doesn't legally tie two people together, which is only important if the children are involved. In 2012, 47% of all births were to parents who were not married. When a child is born out of wedlock, fathers have limited parental rights until custody and paternity have been established. All of this is being done by a family attorney. Additionally, relationships have been shown to be less successful when people cohabit after marriage. Cohabiting is additionally shown to shorten relationships, as if things get rough, nothing is technically holding the person down. Because of this factoring into the rate of those who are being alienated from their families, 43% of all children growing up in America today are being crazy about their fathers. Now, you might not think this is going to affect you, but hopefully after watching this presentation, you will understand that this can happen to you. The odds are not in your favor. Thank you for watching.